Hey everybody, we're going to look at arithmetic sequences again today. This time we're going to talk about something called the explicit formula. So the other day when we were talking about recursive, we said that in order to use your recursive formula, you had to know the previous term in order to find your next term. Well, if I'm asked to find the 112th term, I don't want to have to find all 111 previous terms in order to do that. So that recursive isn't super helpful when we have large terms that we're finding. So that's where this explicit formula comes in. The explicit equation or formula looks like this. A sub n, remember that's the nth term or the term we're going to be looking for. And then a sub 1 is our first term. D is still our common difference. And then we have parentheses n minus 1. So that parentheses n minus 1 will always be there in every single equation. So a sub n and n minus 1 will always be there. You're going to change the a sub 1 and the d depending on your example. So let's look at an example. Here we have an arithmetic sequence. Just kidding. We have the explicit formula given to us. And our goal is going to be to find a few terms. So we're going to find the fourth term and then we're going to find the 11th term. Well, in order to find the fourth term, our n value would be 4. So we go ahead and plug 4 in for both this n and that n. And it looks like this. A sub 4 equals 6 plus 2 parentheses 4 minus 1. And then we just simplify that. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Order of operations tells us to multiply first. So we have 6 plus 6, and then we add. So our fourth term would be 12. Okay, now if I go to find the 11th term, our n value is now 11. So I plug 11 in for n. That becomes 6 plus 2 times 10. 2 times 10 we know is 20, and then we add 6. So our 11th term is 26. Now we're given a formula, or a sequence, and we need to write our explicit formula. So based off of those three numbers, we have to find enough information to write our explicit formula. And then once we have that formula, we'll find the 12th term. So first thing we need to know for our explicit formula is our first term. Well, we know a sub 1 is 3. And then we also need to figure out what is that common difference. And looking between our two terms, we see that we're adding 8 every single time. So our common difference is 8. Now I substitute those numbers into my equation. Well, I told you earlier that a sub n and the n minus 1 are always going to be there, and we're just going to substitute these two numbers. So a sub n equals our first term, which was 3, plus our common difference times n minus 1. So there's our explicit formula. Now we can find that 12th term just like we did in previous examples. So we're going to plug 12 in for n. That gives us 3 plus 8 times 11. 8 times 11 is 88, and then add that 3 gives us the 12th term being 91. Okay, one more example. Here is our sequence, and we're going to have to find the 8th term. It says using the explicit formula, so obviously we're going to have to write our explicit formula first. So the two pieces of information you need for your explicit formula are your first term and your common difference. So we can say that our first term, there's the equation. Our first term is 6 and our common difference this time is -3 since we're going down each time. So I'm going to plug those in. Here is our equation then. And I want you guys to do that or use that to find the 8th term.